Hello, Michigan. Welcome to State Champs Michigan's Extra Point. I'm Lorne, joined by Scott Burnstein as we talk Michigan high school football all season long here on the State Champs Network. This program is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Congratulations to the Blue Devils with their convincing 26-7 win over Madonna University last weekend. It was a packed house here, and Lawrence Tech didn't disappoint. Do you want to play college football? LTU has athletic and academic scholarships right now. You can recruit yourself by simply going to LTUathletics.com. Click on the Recruit Yourself link, fill out a short questionnaire, and a coach will get back to you within 48 hours. How you doing, Scotty?
Man, football season, I'm just like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
And, I'm running sideline to sideline, end zone to end zone, trying to keep up with all this great football talent. And, it's a bevy of gridiron gladiators to talk about. So let's dive in.
All right, well, here we go again. Football is back. We'll tell you what Bernie's burning on a little later in the program, and you'll get an excerpt of the interview we had on the audio podcast version of Extra Point with the MHSAA's Jeff Kimberly. But first, here's the top games that State Champs covered last week, and we're going to start with the battle at the Big House on Thursday between Midland and Traverse City West. The Chemics would go into halftime leading 28-14, but the Traverse City West defense would shut them out in the second half. Under 4 minutes left in the game, tied at 28, Michael Schermerhorn busting free for this 50-yard touchdown run to put the Titans up, and they would hang on to beat Midland 35-28. We had some top 25 matchups in week one, and another good one from Ann Arbor was between number 19 Davison and number 16 Clarkston. Davison advancing the last two Division I state finals. Junior quarterback Braylon Himmeline made his Cardinal debut by passing for 211 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it was Clarkston's running back Ethan Clark exploding in the fourth quarter, rushing for 101 yards, including this game-clinching touchdown with 5 minutes left as the Wolves held on to beat Davison for the third straight time, 29-26. We had an East versus West matchup at the battle at the Big House between number 20 Saline and Hudsonville. The Hornets in a hole early on, trailing 16-0, but they rallied back. Sophomore C.J. Carr, who's the grandson of former Michigan football coach Lloyd Carr, 280 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Hudsonville down 34-30 in the final moments of the game here on the goal line, but the Hornet defense comes through as they hang on to win the opener 34-30. Next, the Vehicle City Gridiron Classic at Atwood Stadium in Flint. Number 24 Grand Blanc and 17th ranked East Lansing went toe-to-toe. This was a high-scoring affair led by one of our Mr. Football candidates in Elijah Jackson Anderson. 2 rushing touchdowns, one from 25 and the other from 40 yards. East Lansing down double digits in the final quarter, but rallied back, but it wasn't enough. Grand Blanc goes on to beat the Trojans 40-34. And finally, we had a Catholic League MAC conference matchup between Brother Rice and number 18 Macomb, Dakota. The Warriors pounding the rock, led by Nolan Ray, 177 yards on 12 carries, and they went up 21-zip into the locker room. Dakota would come back to tie the game at 21 with a couple scores from quarterback Caden Sloan, but Rice answered with 2 touchdowns in the final stanza as they went on to beat the Cougars 35-21. We welcome Scott Burnstein into the conversation. Your thoughts on some of those outcomes?
We couldn't have asked for a better week one. I mean, a lot of great down-to-the-wire action, great individual performances. If we want to go over the games we just covered, Traverse City West, Brandon Konchak, one of the more underrated quarterbacks to know up north. In Clarkston, Davison, Ethan Clark is a force of nature rushing the football. Yeah. I'm glad to see him healthy. He missed the end of last season with an injury that took him out the last quarter of the season, and he's off and running like a deer. He's already got a handful of Division I offers. I expect more to come in the future. Brother Rice, they had to replace a quarterback, Jake Coulter, who hurt his arm in the offseason, didn't come back for his senior year. He'll be playing baseball at Kentucky. Hunter Polanki steps in, seamless transition. You add Polanki to Nolan Ray, the junior running back, probably the best tailback in Oakland County right now.
All right, the program is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Officials are in need, and I invite you to check out Being an Official. Great part-time pay, stay in the game We have a shortage, so go to MHSAA.com for details. Help wanted, just whistle. I also invite you to listen to the Extra Point Companion audio podcast, where you will get full-length interviews with coaches, newsmakers, and pundits in the high school football scene. This week, we had a chance to talk to the MHSAA's communication director, Jeff Kimmerly. You can read a lot of his work on the MHSAA's second half website. We had a good conversation on DeWitt, Chippewa Valley, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, but here's what he had to say regarding the new playoff point system for this year's playoffs. Check it out.
Previously, you won a certain number of games and you're in the playoffs. It wins if you games in a season, 5 wins if you played 8 or fewer. Win is no longer part of the process here. Everything is based on not only how successful you are, but really how successful your opponents are as well. This is called the enhanced strength of schedule format. It's something the Football Coaches Association brought to the table 3 or 4 times, and we continued to work with them and to tweak the formulas to make this really line up so that it'd be beneficial for schools all over the state.
Once again, you can listen to the entire conversation on the Extra Point Companion podcast, along with our ranking segment with State Champs' own Matt Mowry. Head on over to Spreaker.com, search State Champs Sports. The Extra Point Michigan podcast is ready for you to enjoy, along with the other Extra Point podcasts covering Indiana and Ohio. You can also find the podcast wherever you get your podcast. We also want to thank our good friends at Hungry Howie's for not only sponsoring the Mr. Football and the Anvil Award, but also for sponsoring Extra Point. And speaking of hot and fresh, now it's time to discover what Bernie is burning on. So each week, Scott will opine on a Michigan high school football topic. I understand this week it's the Lakes Valley Conference.
All right, so the LVC had a shakeup already after week 1. Going into the season, the consensus was that Walled Lake Western would be the front runners. They've kind of been the glamour team of that Western Oakland County. Used to be the KLAA, now it's the LVC. But Lakeland, South Lyon, Waterford, Mott have something to say about it. South Lyon, who won the title 2 or 3 years ago, came into Walled Lake Western and took them out to the woodshed. They said, you guys think you're the favorites, but you're not. And they beat them handily. Shout out to Dawson Scoopin, Quinn Fracassi, and that whole South Lyon Lions crew. Scoopin is an underrated field general that can just really sling that rock. Great gridiron IQ. Don't look past Lakeland, the defending LVC champions. Although they lost a lot to graduation, they returned their quarterback, Tate Farquhar, of the Michigan State baseball commit, who just recently said he's possibly thinking about reopening his recruitment and taking football offers. Waterford Mott has a guy that you need to know about, Caleb Osborne, 6'4" sophomore quarterback that had roughly 300 yards total combined yards from scrimmage in week 1 in his debut. He'll be getting some Division I offers coming down the pike soon. So Lakeland, South Lyon, and Waterford Mott right now appear to be on the tail of Walled Lake Western, who came in as the front runner. They lost in week 1. South Lyon has got to be the team that you're talking about in the LVC right now, followed by Lakeland, then Western, and then Mott looking to play sleeper.
All right, thank you for that, my friend. We will leave this week with a preview of some of the top games we'll be covering on State Champs this week. Lansing Catholic at Williamston, number 12 River Rouge at number 8 Warren de La Salle, number 7 Muskegon Mona Shores at number 9 King, number 3 Cass Tech at number 14 Muskegon, and Davison at number 11 Detroit Catholic Central. Scott, what about any of those matchups intrigue you?
I mean, Davison and Catholic Central, you got 2 state powers. One of them will be 0-2 at the end of week 2. It'll be interesting to see how whichever one of that team is looking at an 0-2 start, how they respond.
That's it for the show this week, but before we go, State Champs Game Time Live is back, and this week we will bring you the live play-by-play of Indiana powerhouse Andrian, led by the 5-star recruit Drake Bowen, as they travel to Grand Rapids to take on number 5 Grand Rapids Catholic Central and Mr. Football candidate Joey Silveri. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. Eastern on the State Champs Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch channel. Ryan Slocum and Richie Pop, along with Jenna Rose, will bring you all the action. For Scott, I'm Lorne, and we'll see you next week. Good luck to all the teams this weekend, and happy Labor Day. State Champs Extra Point, presented by Lawrence Technological University and Lawrence Tech Athletics. For everything LTU, visit ltu.edu. You can recruit yourself to any of Lawrence Tech's collegiate athletic teams by visiting ltuathletics.com. Also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. And Hungry Howie's, famous for flavor.